Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hello, my name is Grizel, and in today's video we are going to be looking at the origin story of one of my favorite Disney movies, Beauty and the Beast. So in the story, Belle's name is actually Beauty, and her father was actually a very wealthy merchant who had 12 children in total, 6 sons and 6 daughters. One day they lost absolutely everything when their house burned down and all the shipments he had sank during their route. Because of this, they ended up moving to a very small farmhouse in a faraway village where the land was pretty much dead already. So one day the merchant receives a notice letting him know that one of the ships that he thought had been lost at sea actually made it to land. So he decides to make a trip to the city so that he can claim what is rightfully his. And before he departs, he tells his kids that he's going to be able to bring them back gifts. So of course the children let him know that they want like really luxurious gifts and clothing and jewels, except Beauty. The only thing that Beauty asked for her father to bring back was a simple rose. However, upon arriving to the city, he realized that his greedy and selfish business partners had falsely declared him dead so that they could keep what was rightfully his. For 6 months, the merchant fought for his shares in court, and the court ruled in his favor. After paying legal fees, the merchant was pretty much left with nothing and had to return home empty-handed. On his journey back, he was met with a terrible snowstorm, so he decided to find shelter in an abandoned castle along the way. As he enters, he calls out to see if anyone is home, but he receives no answer. The castle was completely empty with the exception of beautiful trays laid out of food and drinks. After eating to his content, he goes and explores around the castle, and as hours pass by and no sign of an owner, the merchant comes to the conclusion that this castle was left to him as a gift from the gods. The merchant then spends the night, and the following day begins his journey once again towards the farm. But before leaving, he sees that the castle gardens are full of beautiful roses, just like the one Beauty requested. After plucking near half a dozen of them, he is surprised by the beast. So the beast tells the merchant that stealing from his garden is actually going to cost him his life. And the merchant, attempting to rectify the situation, starts telling the beast the entire story of everything that has happened to him, and actually told him that the rose that he was picking was for his youngest and most beautifulest daughter. And the beast decides to make a deal with the merchant. So he tells them that he is going to spare him his life with the condition that he return back with one of his daughters, but that the daughter who decides to come back with him cannot return by means of a lie, that she actually has to be coming willingly and knowing what she's going to face when she gets there. So the merchant decides to go back to his, to the farm, and throughout the ride back, he's, thinking that he should do the right thing and he should be the one to return to the beast and assume the consequences. However, when he gets to the house, he tells his kids everything that happened. And at first, his sons were actually very upset and decide that they're going to go ahead and they're going to head over to where the beast is and they're going to kill the beast. But the merchant tells them that he doesn't want them to do that. And then his daughters were very upset. All except Beauty were very upset because he wasn't able to bring them all the riches and the luxurious things that he had offered them. However, Beauty felt extremely bad for what had happened and very guilty. So because of the guilt that Beauty was feeling, she decides that she is going to return with her father to the Beast Castle, and she is going to be the one to assume the consequences voluntarily. Now, once Beauty and her father return to the castle, the beast tells the merchant that not in payment, but kind of like in payment for his daughter, he is going to allow the merchant to fill up 2 large chests with all the riches that he can possibly fit in them so that he can return to the farm. Now, Beauty hardly ever sees the beast throughout the day. For the most part, she spends her time exploring the castle and the castle grounds. And contrary to the movie, in the story, there's no inanimate household items who have now come to life. There actually is a group of monkey servants that pretty much serve Belle all day. There's also a group of talking parrots who will sing to her and will talk to her to keep her entertained. And there's also a group of chimpanzees who often put on like different types of plays for her to stay entertained. However, every evening Beauty does have to have dinner with the Beast, and during their evening interactions, the Beast, it says that they have very simple conversation, that the Beast actually comes off to be a little bit dumb and not very eloquent, but he does take the opportunity every night to ask Beauty to marry him, to which every night she responds with a no. But however, he doesn't get angry about her rejection at all. He just goes about his time and ask her again the next day. Now, every night Beauty would fall into deep sleep and dream about a handsome man that would promise her love, but remind her that looks can be deceiving, and a woman that would tell her that not to let looks fool her. And this pretty much became the routine day in and day out. As time passed, Beauty actually began to grow fond of the Beast. They started to get along and spend quite nice times together. However, she did really miss her family and her father. And one day she built up the courage to ask the Beast if she could please go back and see her father, like her family. At this point, the Beast was very much in love with Beauty and pretty much gave her anything that she wanted. So he agreed to grant her her liberty for a period of 2 months. During these 2 months, she would be able to spend the time with her family and her father, but after the 2 months she would need to return back to him, and if she didn't return back to him, he pretty much would kill himself. So Beauty returns home to her father and her family. However, her sisters, on the other hand, were not very happy to see her, and in fact they were actually very jealous to see her, because when Beauty returned, she came back looking really good. They could obviously see that she was being very pampered and she was living a very good life in the castle with the Beast. So they decide to come up with a plan to where they're going to trick Beauty, I guess, into believing that they miss her so much, and that for this reason she should please stay more than the 2 months that she's allowed to. They figured they'd do this because in doing so, then her relationship with the Beast would be compromised and she would lose everything that she had gained, I guess, up until this point by living with the Beast. So one thing that Beauty notices when she is back home with her father is that as soon as she arrived back to his home, she no longer was able to dream with her handsome, beloved unknown. Instead, in place of those beautiful dreams, she started to have nightmares where she would see really bad things happening to the Beast, and she started to feel a little bit anxious. So she was starting to think that it was time for her to go back. So she does this, but by the time that she does return back, she is a little bit late and the Beast is just about dying. In the story, it said that he actually had stopped eating as soon as she left back to her home because he absolutely missed her so much. But the monkey servants are able to nurse him back to health, and the next day when Beauty and Beast have their usual evening dinner, she professes that she does love him, that she's realized that she loves him, and she accepts his marriage proposal. Similar to the movie, once Beauty professes her love to the Beast, the curse is lifted and Beast returns to his handsome human body, and the statues of the castle come back to life. And this is where Beauty realizes that the Beast is actually the handsome, beloved, unknown man of which she has been dreaming every night since she had moved into the Beast's castle. So this is the part of the story where we are told what happened to the prince and why he became a beast, or why he was cursed. And it turns out that the prince's father had actually passed away, and his mother had to defend the kingdom, so she had to go like far away to fight for the kingdom. And in order for her to do so, she left the prince in the care of a fairy. Now this fairy raised the prince as her own, and he grew up knowing that it wasn't his biological mother, but he referred to her as mother. and she saw him as a son. However, when the prince turned 15 and he started to grow into a more, handsome young adult, the fairy, who up until this point had pretty much been his mother figure, falls in love with him and is like obsessed with him. So she starts proposing matrimony to him, to which he is like rejecting her because to his eyes she is like his mother, and she just gets so irate because of his rejection that she decides to curse him and says that he's going to be take on the form of a dumb beast until he finds someone who can love him in that form. And instead of like turning the castle staff into talking objects the way it is in the animated movie, she actually like just turns everyone to stone. So the prince's mother returns to find that her son has now been turned into a beast, and she comes accompanied with a good fairy who then comes up with the plan for the merchant to steal the rose and for everything that happened throughout the story to happen the way it did. So basically the entire story is just like an entire plan that this good fairy had come up with to lure in one of the merchant's daughters and for her to fall in love with the now beast so that the curse could be broken. So when the beast's mother finds out that Beauty is just a simple merchant's daughter, she is completely against their matrimony and their union. However, the fairy explains to her that the merchant's daughter, biological daughter, had actually passed away as an infant, and in her place the fairy had placed Beauty, who was actually the daughter of a king and a fairy who had been like locked up because of what she had done, and Beauty had been left for dead in the forest. So that's why like the good fairy had put her in place of the dead baby. Kind of creepy, but that's how the story goes. But wait, there's more. Not only is Beauty the daughter of a king and a fairy, but she is the daughter of the queen, like the beast's mother's brother. So basically Belle is the niece of the queen and the cousin of the beast, and to this the mother is just perfectly fine. So she's not okay with her being poor, but she's fine with them being cousins. So yeah, so that's basically how the story ends. They get married, they live happily ever after. That's pretty much how it ends. So let me know your thoughts below. Do you prefer the movie version or do you prefer the story version? I personally think I like a little bit more the story version, although the ending is a little bit too much for me. But yeah, let's just say Disney has a really good way of removing all like the sinister and kind of uncomfortable parts of the original stories and making them more family friendly. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video and you would like to see similar content to this, please subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoyed the video and I will see you in my next one.